You're live.
Welcome. This is House Corrections and Institutions Committee. It is Tuesday, March 24th at 5:30. We are working with our legislative council and our joint fiscal office to go over any language changes that we need to put into our capital bill. And I know that John has sort of kept a list of some of the items, so if you could just kind of go through what you have, and then we can add to that or adjust it together.
So I'll address the policy pieces here. Section 8, which you may recall from DEC's testimony, is a set of language that is meant to address disadvantaged municipalities and to add nonprofit and resident-owned manufactured housing communities to the list of eligible communities. We've had some back and forth with DEC on that language. As you know, they came in last week with updated language, so not what was initially contained in the governor's rec. I think we're in a decent place on that. We have some cleaner language that's going to look awfully close to what Patrick presented on, although there may be some cleanup involved with one of the technical callouts there. It's an undefined term that we may be clear on.
Because if you don't have the institutional memory, then nobody knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you just read the section, it doesn't make any, it's not clear what it refers to. So that's not great. However, the flip side of it is if that section is being administered properly right now, you also don't always want to touch a section that's being properly administered, right? Even if it seems unclear to us. So we'll have a new section 8 starting tomorrow that addresses that piece. The more controversial policy piece, maybe that's the wrong term to use, but the bigger substantive issue was section 9, which addressed the priority system for eligible municipal water pollution abatement. And there had been language that would have not withstood the demonstration requirements of a set of department rules. And basically those rules are meant to get at scattered development, and this would create an exemption from that. If the project included service to new housing units. Feels like more of a housing environmental matter that's going out of the capital. So you're not going to see that section 9 DEC had presented on. The last policy piece that was included in the governor's rec is related to acceptance of gifts for historic sites in Vermont Archaeology Heritage Center. I haven't heard any objections to the governor recommended language, so that you will see in the language tomorrow.
And that was testified to us by Laura Techman, that it would allow the state historic preservation officer to go out, solicit grants, gifts, donations, and that is to help with the Bennington Monument. And also just to help with fundraising campaigns. So we're designated to designate to a specific project. So
Anywhere else for that matter, you know?
So that was being proposed, and she testified that that is something that they would like, so that it helps with Bennington Monument. And that was in the governor's recommend.
And other projects in the future.
If this would be broadly available. Yep.
Right.
That is the extent of the policy sections that are here. I did some other language requests beyond just updates to the figures. So something we talked about this morning, I'd understood that BGS wanted some flexibility. As you know, multiple sections appropriate funds to BGS. And generally, you know that under existing law, there is authority to transfer amounts among projects within the same section. I think there was a request more broadly to allow BGS to transfer funds across multiple sections to which they're appropriated. So state buildings, public safety, AHS pieces. Hopefully this is ringing the bell for folks. And I'm saying lots of head nodding, so that's positive.
And with that, what we also wanted was the ability in section 3, which is your agency of human services, for them to be able to move money between the DOC projects, not the DCF project, but the DOC projects.
So
in a reduced. Anyway, because so the money for section 3, is the money appropriate to the agency, of Human Services? Or is the money appropriate to
I
BGS,
believe it goes through BGS.
to the agency of Human
It's-
Services?
Yeah. let me see
So
if I can-
that's the issue, like, Agency of Human Services could move money around within that section. But those are BGS, so BGS wants the ability to move money around.
So BGS does have the ability to move money within the section.
Their section
Within section 3, the funds are appropriated to them.
to BGS.
Yep, and they would have the ability to move funds among projects within that section. So if that's what you're trying to solve, I think you're already
So
okay.
what about public service? Because they're doing the,
Right now, they couldn't take money from 3 and
Exactly,
apply it to
exactly.
2. They
That's
could
right.
work within 3 or within 2.
Exactly. That's
but I
that.
think they may want to work between those two sections, 2 and 3.
So that does not exist.
Yeah.
That flexibility does not exist. In section 13, they could move money among the projects within you can move section, but not intersection.
So in section 13, does the money go to BGS or WC?
BGS,
Is that for even the Rutland Field Station
yes.
and for the search and rescue facility?
Shaftesbury, Rutland,
I think, so Scott, BGS wants that wherever they have a project, regardless of what section it is, they want to switch money between all the projects that are on the beach that are funded to BGS.
Yeah, for the record, Scott Moore, Joint Fiscal Office, that's correct, Madam Chair. In talking with Commissioner Manoli, she had mentioned a desire that if it's BGS, is the people doing the work, regardless of which section they're in, having that flexibility to move money. For instance, when you have major maintenance between section 3 and section 2, or, working on design for the Shaftesbury Field Station, they have leftover money, could they move that to design up in section 2, that kind of. So anything that's BGS related, even though they're doing the work on behalf of a different agency, if they're assigned the work and they're appropriated the money, having that flexibility between separate sections was the desire.
may I offer a practical consideration that maybe you guys will not like? But just thinking about the effect of this sort of thing, it's obviously practically useful for BGS, but it also means that the work that you guys do to narrow down specifications of funds for projects becomes much less meaningful. Because if you can just move funds between sections, you could treat one section as basically having the aggregate of 2 sections and put no funds toward it.
You stole the thoughts out of my head.
So I just something to think about. I imagine that they're asking in a reasonable way because it's helpful to their practices, but it does.
Do you have a recommendation as to how it should be worded?
That's really a choice of if you just want to allow that at all. I'm just pointing out that it makes the work in here less meaningful, basically.
But I do not support that. I do not support that. Just do not. I mean, the work within section 2 is very different from the nature of the work within section 3.
Yeah.
And I understand allowing flexibility. But that's too much to the extent that we're almost just forfeiting our ability to direct funds into, certain areas. I mean, section 3 has, you got what, total bonding and cash of $28 million in 3. You got, and obviously some of that's been expended. $41 million hanging out in section 2. Section 2 is very different than section 3. How would we feel if, I don't know, the roof for Northwest got redirected to repointing for the State House? Would that be right? Because that's what you'd be allowing.
concur.
Scott?
Just another thing that came to mind in having these discussions, I believe Commissioner Manoli told me that they do currently have a mechanism where they can go between sections. It's just they would have to go through the steps of going to the agency administration,
Yeah.
talking to Sarah Clark and getting that permission. So they already have a mechanism in place. This would just allow it to be one less step of bureaucracy.
Right,
Is
they
it
can,
Over a certain amount, of money?
200K, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so a step is required to do that. It's not automatic. I mean, you can imagine, just to set out the absurd hypothetical, if you had a capital bill in which you just had a bucket of projects, it was all one section, and you said you can move funds between all of these. What would it mean to allocate funds toward any particular project? That's the most extreme way to think about it, but maybe helpful to it. Yeah, it's a practical question, but it's true that they can take a step. I don't know how regularly those approvals are granted. If they're quite liberal with the extension of those approvals, then the request makes more sense as just a practical concern. But if that is a reasonable administrative burden, then it's kind of different.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Pretty much just what John said is, being able to move it a little bit, little flexibility is good, too much flexibility is bad. Which does, when it takes us out of the picture, because in theory, you could move all the money into one thing, and it kind of violates the whole principle of us being here, deciding that these are the projects we want you to do. So I'd be very cautious, and they do I know they have that process. I'm sure it's not that cumbersome when you're going to your own people to get it done. And I personally think you should go to a joint fiscal or whatever.
No, there is an emergency board.
Right,
piece
emergency
of
board.
that too, that's it's another step.
Right, but to me, that should always be the step. Like, there's gotta be checks and balances, and if you just let people do whatever they want, it gets a little dicey. So,
Maybe I stepped out for a few minutes that day, but BGS is in here a lot. And I don't remember that request being made during any testimony. Is anyone else?
They did, yeah.
The 2 and 3, the entertainer.
Repo, they
They
definitely
did
made it.
repos,
They did the repo.
Here as well. Once or twice.
Okay.
A couple of projects.
But I'm not married to it at all.
So what triggers the emergency board? It's if they want to go between sections. Over 200,000, Secretary of the Administration, but there's also a trigger for the emergency board. Is it over a certain amount, or is it that particular piece?
I don't know the trigger for the emergency board. I can try to look.
It was 1% of the general fund, at least for that piece of it, by capital.
I don't. Is it for that? There is a trigger, because we have used that. We have used it.
I mean, my point is you have those systems in place that this stuff can happen. It just gotta go through the right people to make sure we have a little bit of a check.
When we merge lines, we do it with intention too.
Right,
you
we've
know.
done that, but
Yeah,
that's how we want language there in DOC. In that section.
I'm looking at the general transfer of appropriations authority under Title 32. With approval of governor, commissioner of finance can transfer balances of appropriations not to exceed 100K made under any appropriation act. So there's broader authority outside of the context of just the capital bill.
Do we want to keep it though within, okay.
There is the e-board gets involved too.
Right.
We've done that for the bigger projects, but I don't remember what the trigger is there. That's 200,000, is that the trigger that goes to the Secretary of the Administration and then to the e-board?
Okay. So generally, under Title 28, can allocate at the commissioner's discretion funds from projects appropriated to BGS by any capital construction act. Manage and expend all appropriations. Transfer any unexpended project balances between projects that are authorized within the same section of the Biennial Capital Construction Act. That's what we've been talking about. Transfer any unexpended project balances between projects that are authorized within different capital construction acts with the approval of the Secretary of Administration. when the unexpended project balance does not exceed 200K, or with the additional approval of the E-Board when such balance exceeds 200K. But even note the lead into that, transfer any unexpended project balances between projects that are authorized within different capital construction acts.
Yeah, we did that between, so they could go back
Yeah.
3 years previous. And if there's unexpended dollars there, they could pull that.
But it's interesting to me because that is not a grant of moving between different sections of the same capital construction act, which is what we're talking about. And the previous language, subdivision 19, is addressing that transfer within projects that are authorized within the same section. So I don't see, the
So-
type of situation we're envisioning.
So there's nothing in statute that would allow them to transfer money from section 3 to section 2 with the approval of the administration if it's over 200,000.
Yeah, the piece that I just spoke to is what I have on that front. I'm also just looking at another subdivision that I have not read before. So just a second before. I see this isn't going to address it either, but with the approval of the Secretary of Administration, transfer during any fiscal year to BGS for use only for major maintenance within the capital complex. Any unexpended balances of funds appropriated in the Capital Construction Act.
See, we've done this so piecemeal in the past.
There's provisions for emergency projects, but that's unexpended balances from prior capital construction acts. And that's obviously addressing emergency scenarios.
So they can move money within their own section 2
Yes.
without authority. Even if it's 400,000, they don't need the Secretary of Administration. Right? So the 200,000 kicks in if they want to move money between capital bills.
Yep, it's transfer any unexpended project balances between projects that are authorized within different capital construction acts. If it doesn't exceed 200K, that's Secretary of Administration approval. You need additional approval of the E-Board above 200K. So in any case, you need Secretary of Administration approval for BGS to transfer balances between projects authorized in different capital bills. And if you go above 200K, you then need additional E-Board approval.
So for those projects, like right now in section 3 and the one for public safety, right now, there is no authority for them anywhere for BGS to move money between those projects and what's in section 2.
Not that I'm aware of.
So the question is before the committee, instead of the carte blanche, just do it. Do we want to allow them some flexibility, but they have to go through Secretary of the Administration? That's their boss. The Secretary of Administration puts the capital bill together.
I would
Is
say
that on
yes,
the
I would say
Secretary of the
yes.
Administration puts the
Just so
capital
that
bill
they can
together.
someone's approved.
So your chicken is guarding the hen house.
Well, I know, but
This is just section 2 we're talking about, right?
No, the question is, can BGS move money around between their section 3, because the money is going to BGS, though it's a human services budget, human services project.
It's broader than that. I think it was any project.
even if it was
BGS
BGS.
control.
Yeah.
But a
Right
lot
now,
of it is human
right now it is,
services.
yeah.
A lot of it was human services. I don't know about the vets home, how that plays in, and then public safety.
So is
And
this,
then you've even got the agency of ag with the big E
Right.
and the ag and Manila. Even got that.
Much.
That's
much.
That's half.
so I had understood this to be a request that was specific to this capital bill, but just hearing the discussion, it sounds like this is a change to the powers of, which, you guys call it, this feels like a big thing to add.
Right. I agree.
I don't support it.
Yeah.
Keep it as is.
It's like, how far does it go? We've got like $13 million for the prison from previous capital bills? Can they move that all around? That's,
They could. They had to, but they would have to
They'll
go.
have to get approval.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't move just 200, they move 500,000 at least, but then you have to go through the e-board for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and aside from the effects it has on you guys' decision making, this process is already quite difficult to track all the funding streams.
Yeah, particularly when you throw in cash.
So
Yep.
make a motion, we keep it the way it is.
Other folks support that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's simple then. Do nothing. Great.
Yeah, that makes it shorter.
Let's to do, John, have another camping.
Second.
Good job.
So another piece that I had heard is a request, we had talked about, but not landed on as a request, whether authority was required to purchase land for USAR. And in communications with Commissioner Manoli, and I know they're, going to be in tomorrow talking, my understanding is they don't need language to purchase that land. So yet another thing, I don't think you have to do something.
Do they need any adjustment to that Williston land?
And I also asked if they still needed the authority to sell, and the response was that they have the authority to sell if they go that route in the future. So I understand they would like that authority maintained, preserved. So no reason to touch it.
And they have the authority to purchase property if they have to?
The direct quote is, we do not need language to purchase land. No.
Okay, so that's good.
So leave it as is.
get them drunk.
Boy, we could be done by here.
So those are sets of general language pieces. I have a really not well organized set of my annotations of markup.
It's like mine too. so that's just-
And I can go through them. The thing I will offer, and I don't want to cut on the spot, my annotations do not track y'all's spreadsheet.
You got it.
Oh, well, that's even better. So that's what I was going to say is, if I describe mine, I describe them in the form of the capital bill, which is section 2. We're changing this. I don't think that's the way you guys talk about it. So I would suggest that Here Comes Scott is going to be more helpful to the committee. But I don't,
Yeah, these are the changes we talked about last Friday. Nothing's changed since then.
So let's.
you want me to switch? You want me to switch or?
Why don't you stick? It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
yeah, that's
Just stay where you are. So Scott, why don't you do that?
Sure, so going back to the spreadsheet that I gave you on Friday, it's got the orange header at the top. So I have line 4. We're changing FY 26 bonded to be 1.1 million.
You're doing the money, but how about any language?
Language, no. There wasn't any language in
Yeah.
here,
Language.
The-
except for line 9, remove the word historic.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yep,
yes.
I have that.
What about when you get to the veteran?
Yeah, and then when we're down to veterans, we want to talk about being able to, on line 56, adding the language to adding the sprinkler system.
Yes.
And then also, line 57, talking about adding the elevator.
It was the elevator to the sewer system.
Right.
To the muffin
Yes.
eater.
But there's language there.
Could you put the
And I-
muffin eater?
Right.
I believe I do have, if I can read my notes, I was here for those discussions.
Yeah.
And Scott also sent me an email afterwards, to which I responded, I was there and I have notes.
Yeah.
So I will, yes.
And mostly, John, like I said in my email to you, is adding the ability to have the elevator and sewer go together,
Yep.
which sounds horrible.
That design in.
It does.
But when there was more language on B and C, or the leftover, right?
Anyway,
Yep, that's.
the
what I'm trying to say.
sprinkler, because there was money from the previous capital bill.
There'll be another line item for reallocation of $500,000.
That
Brian,
was the elevator,
Brian and I want the
but there
muffin.
was something
Yeah,
with.
750.
This is where we talked about the 1.5.
So we had. Just blanking out completely, it wasn't the.
What I will say is I have notes on this. Part of the issue is that I tore out some of the pages as I started drafting things, so some pages are separate on my desk. But it is not hard for me to go back to this exact testimony and capture it.
What it was for A-Wing. Last year, we had language that pulled
From B and C.
B and C to
Yep.
A, and we had 1.5 million. They're not
Separate.
gonna use all of that 1.5 million, they,
I think they used
Oh,
just over
seven-
half.
yeah,
760.
750.
So I want to say 760, but
I've got 7.
So,
And then the remaining is gonna go towards the sprinkler installation.
so I have keep 1 million bond for elevator, cut 500K cash, increase bonding by 250K in FY 27. Authority to move the FY 24 bonded with the FY 27 bonded to create a bigger pool of funds, basically. And to, oh gosh, my handwriting. Sprinklers, use the balance
Of A-Wing.
on the sprinklers.
That's for A-Wing.
Yeah, and then I have a bunch of question marks.
We want the ability for them in their section to move money around. With all their
Yeah.
projects.
Yes.
We already gave them the authority to move money around between the air units, the laundry facility, and they're using part of that money to do the laundry facility in part of A-Wing. So I think we've already gave authority for lines 54 and 55, but now we want to extend it to all. That, you know, So you're figuring something else in your pen script
I mean, I think that covers the discussion that we had from that,
for the vets.
for the vets one. Yep.
Can you figure anything else out in your
They were,
script?
they were going to do something though in that.
yeah, so it was going to be the,
The laundry is gonna move in
To
to
A.
A-Wing where they were gonna have the theater. So the laundry building is gonna go there.
but they don't, I don't think they need the language.
I don't think so.
No, but we.
That's how they saved the money. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
So what else do you have?
Just a second to confirm, I think aside from the historic, cutting the word historic, which Scott noted. I do not have language updates for the first. I mean, we have the youth stabilization facility.
That language to put in. The
Do you want-
remaining Groups, we want the same language in here.
Okay, you want to have that language.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
It's got to match.
Oh, Jesus, I dread that language, but we gotta do it. Then did you get, the Springfield language for the swap? The land transfer from Springfield Correctional Facility to Springfield, we had to amend. I gave somebody a piece of paper that came from Wanda. Gave it to somebody on Friday.
So I don't have this. I do know that Michael Grady had language. Just a second that I can check. She may be
So
responsive.
we it to them on Friday. BGS has been working with the town. It's 22 acres. We put in the capital bill in 24. 24 capital bill that they drew.
Okay, this is ringing a bell.
The
This is
10
ringing a
acres
bell.
can go to Springfield for their municipal services.
Yep.
That needs to be amended. The
Yep.
22 acres. Did you get that?
Yep, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Is this a
Awesome.
lot of language or is it-
It's gotta
Did
be
I say
amended.
that? I didn't.
No, I get
realize.
that.
And it's to allow them for economic development.
Okay, that will be in there. Yep.
Did we talk Little River?
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Okay, all right.
That's
So
what
then
Michael
the
Grady
forest
has.
and parks, they're coming in tomorrow, but
Michael
Michael,
Grady has language for that.
he's gonna put that in there, so we can.
I can include that with the full
Yeah,
track, so we'll
yeah.
be together.
And then the use stabilization, I don't think there's anything else. Is there?
I think that's it.
And you're not doing the dams. Scott?
Line 27, it's about, it adds Department of Corrections. Make sure on the spreadsheet it did include Department of Corrections.
For door controls?
Correct. Because it's not like something that says,
We
Right.
grabbed
So
2 million.
statewide.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have 2 million, but we want the ability. For the money within section 3 for the DOC projects, not the DCF. But just for those DOC projects to be able to move money between those projects.
Like line 23, 24, and
Right. Right, 22.
I think so, yeah. And then merge with 27. The statewide.
But we didn't merge them because of the cash and bonding.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, good catch.
we're gonna, on 27, we want to make sure the language said Department of Corrections,
Right.
statewide, not just.
Yeah.
Statewide door.
It's in, it's in purple line.
Yeah.
So-
Did it.
Do we want to allow the money that we're appropriating in section 3, lines 20 to 28? Do we want them to allow them to move money between all of those? Or do we just want to limit it to lines 23, 24, and 27? For the door controls, that we just do the percentage,
Yes, I would keep it to
That's 3 lines.
doors, those three.
just
Yes,
Please.
Flexibility, yep.
for those 3 items for the door
Yeah.
controls.
Yeah, I think we had talked about that.
That's a lot.
And then we've got ag fairs. We've got 26,000 FY 22. We gotta work with Scott on this one, but we wanna reallocate it. It will not create a hole in the ag fair budget. That's for building community grants section. But that money is basically sitting.
And there's a statute that requires a clawback on the earliest
right.
allocation.
Yeah. Figure that out. You and Jeff. So there's 26,000 that will come back to the bottom line.
Line 49,
Yeah, but it doesn't come back to, it
right.
comes back to the bottom line.
FY 22 was 26, and then we're at 23 and 24 and 26.
Yeah, no, it's the
Allocation at 25, but it's the 22.
So Scott can do some work to track that and do the application.
Can you make a mental note to look at that next year during your phone? Because that's a little deeper, right? Than what we usually get.
Because we allocated to the
Yeah.
grant, and the grant allocates it somewhere else, we have to go another layer,
Is there anything else like that?
all of these grants.
Yeah. And all of the grants probably have a similar clawback. I think it's 5 years.
The only ones that might be different, is historic preservation and the barn grants.
I can tell you how those work.
That might be a little, for clawback.
That'd be
No,
fine.
but Caitlin does it herself really, because I mean, she'll repo the money herself. So we give out the whatever, we have, 300 for HP. And usually there'll be like 318 or something, because there'll be a project that comes in under or whatever, and then but she's much more aggressive than we are. She doesn't And she could speak to it more eloquently than me, but she doesn't leave money out in projects.
Right, and they may be a little different than the other, like the red grant, the ed grant, and the ag grant, because historic preservation grants and farm grants were existing long before we did the building community grants. So we didn't tinker with their structure as much. Well, we lumped it all together with the building community grants. They may be a little different.
There is general clawback language for all of the building communities grants chapter, which is the 3 year. So
3 year.
yep, if they remain unexpended and not subject to a grant agreement, the entity may reallocate unexpended funds within its grants program within the 3 years of the original award. Any unexpended funds remaining after the 3 year period that are not subject to a grant agreement shall be reallocated in future acts related to.
But then, beyond that, for the barns and the HP grants, we usually, when we award them, we have a couple of next in lines, if you will. Because sometimes somebody will have a project and they cancel it. And then you go to the next one down, there are contingents. It's our little like HP waterfall, if you will. There isn't much there. Like you're talking 12 grand or 20 grand. But
Maybe it'll go toward Lisa's water tower.
We already took care of
I
that.
have no idea.
We took care of that. It's already in there. That's meaning that's where we need the letter of intent.
Yep.
It's okay. It's not important for tomorrow. Anything else, John, that you're gonna need from us so that you can get the draft going?
Do we want to do any shell language for?
Oh, the Wi-Fi. Yes, DOC Wi-Fi. You didn't find that letter at all that we sent
No, I-
last year?
That would take more time.
Let's see. We did a letter last year. Were you involved in this at all? We did a letter with the Energy Committee last year that we sent to the broadband. It was Ben that did that. That we asked the broadband board to support the DOC request of 3.3 million for Wi-Fi in DOC facilities. And right now, we're trying to get a number from DOC in ADS in terms of what the project cost would be. So the numbers the ADS gave us are like 3 years old. And it didn't come in at quite 3 million. And we tried to get them in to testify today and tomorrow, and they're not willing to come in. They said, well, what did they say exactly? That the numbers,
They're not ready.
they're not ready.
Yeah, they said it's too early in the process to give testimony on.
We've had a
Costs,
year.
They had last year
Otherwise,
too.
we don't want.
And DOC's been working with them. So we want some line, we're gonna put in a line item for Wi-Fi in DOC facilities. And I don't know what number we're gonna look at. I don't know if it's 2 million, 3 million, what we're gonna look at.
This is going in the capital bill. You want like within section.
3.
In section 3, you want a line item for Wi-Fi. Okay. And do you want me to?
Plug the number.
Huh?
And we can plug the number.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the dollar amount and how it affects the other, like if this is meant to be to generate information for you guys, I don't know what's
It's not
that.
to generate information.
Do the work.
We're gonna require ADS to do the work.
That's first, the shall language.
So. Yeah, I'm just thinking how this affects the other determinations you've made on money, right? Like you have a limited.
There's 6
Oh.
million.
We're fine. We got the
Okay.
money for it. And it'll probably come out of the cash. We have 4 million in cash, 4.2. So the question is, do we do 2.2 million? Do we do 3.3? And that's last year we had that. And last year it was like, I think it was 3.3.
It was above 3. So you want to just do the same as, I mean, you might as well maintain the,
3.3.
what's the reason to differ
Whatever
from?
that number is.
Yeah, just plug in that number and I would do cash. And then language, the ADS and DOC shall work together to install Wi-Fi in all of our DOC correctional facilities.
2027. Did I say that?
You're being You're being bad, man.
Sometimes you gotta put language in to get people's
Didn't
attention.
you last?
I
year?
know, it's,
They didn't give us information this year, so now we.
Confusing language,
Mhm.
yeah.
If I say state correctional facilities, is that sufficiently tight or broad?
As long as it's in the DOC section.
Yeah, this would be for ADS and DOC to work together to install Wi-Fi in state correctional facilities.
That tomorrow. At least get language in there, so it's a place to live for us to talk about a little bit more tomorrow, then we can find the letter.
I have a feeling they want to testify after they see that language.
Late.
I think you may be onto something.
I mean, the other piece, we already talked about it, but you'll have the Little River lease language.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
and then, the language about the juvenile facility. the
Yeah.
Facility,
Sure. Yeah,
practice and the appropriations bill.
I'll confirm my dollar figures with Scott. I was not around when you guys talked about cash. So just for my orientation, I'm sure you made a few tweaks, but so much of the governor's recommend is concentrated in cash sections. I'm assuming that you were comfortable with much of what's there.
Yeah, we made changes on the door controls for DOC. We made changes on the boiler for Newport facility. And that's the two changes we did
Okay.
here. Then we made the changes in the cash for the vet home, A-wing, and the sewer system. And then we made
one more muffin done.
a change in
Not enough.
Newport Court.
Newport Courthouse.
Okay.
Rolled out cash.
Mhm.
That's it for that.
All right.
So you've got you on one?
Yes, you need John.
You got enough to work with?
I think so. I'll talk with Scott and I likely will still do my somewhat insane practice of rewatching a lot of testimony just to make sure that I'm capturing.
You're gonna be up all
What speed do you
night?
do that? I try to do 2 times. No, I mean, I won't. I think we'll be fine. I mean, this is also much easier to digest than the testimony from last year, which has so many, like,
The big
Right.
pieces.
yeah. I had to stop and take notes constantly during that. This was not.
Don't send it to editing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring because we're gonna need to,
And
and I'm expecting you guys to have things to change, so.
It's just
and we're all
tonight,
here at
so I was
8:30.
back and forth.
Yeah,
including
next
John.
door.
We're here at
There you go.
8:30.
John.
I don't know if John will be ready.
I plan to. You're gonna need to get me out of Ways and Means in the morning for a period, because I'm booked for 2 hours in the morning from 9 to 11. And I have to be there for at least a portion of that, so we'll have
We
to,
have you
At 8:30 and H9:37. According to the agenda.
Right, we've got Kevin getting this amendment.
It'll be before 9, John.
9 o'clock. When do we have Forest and Parks
Worst and Parks is at 9. So that's the
That's
only
in line.
half-hour block that works for
and then when are we having BGS with them coming in?
9:30.
It's impossible, don't you?
We're on the floor.
Oh,
We
crap.
got judicial.
We've got
Yeah.
10 o'clock is the
10 o'clock is the
appropriations
office of the whole.
of the
So
whole,
8:30 here tomorrow.
8:30, yes.
which means we're either doing Capitol Bill late in the day.
Or we'll pull off.
Or if y'all get off the floor.
Can we at 8:30?
He's not gonna be ready.
Yeah, I mean, I can have something for 8:30, but I think the issues, my understanding is you have other things lined up.
Well, the bill that Kevin is amending is postponed another day. So that 8:30 frees up.
Because that would give us an hour and a half.
They're postponing
About
their
half
reading.
hour, only gives us a half hour. We have something at 9, we
Oh.
have something at 9:30
Yes.
They're postponing third reading.
for a day or two, because they got some other amendments.
Oh. So I can target at 8:30 if you want to try to do that.
That would be great if it's not pressuring you too bad.
I mean,
That would be
You know,
great.
just-
You can do that. The sooner we let you go, the sooner you can get started.
So on another note,
No more notes.
So 8:30 tomorrow, and then I don't know if y'all are free again at 10. When does the floor start?
We have practice of the whole, you get your retention at 10:30. And then we go to lunch.
Are we voting for Malone tomorrow?
Yeah. You
I
get
mean,
your
we're
retention.
voting, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
we're voting on
We're
Malone.
voting on it tomorrow.
What I meant,
Yes, I've got the number.
Freudian slip.
So we'll be on the floor all morning, and then we'll be on the floor.
Is that a ballot or a voice vote? Is that a ballot or a voice vote?
I think so.
secret.
Are you all set? Good to go, John?
Yeah, as much as I will be. So effectively, 8:30 will be the preview of the capital bill. If there's any responses, I can input changes throughout the day, and then we reconvene sometime. Very excited for that preview.
Scott and John.
Thank you. So that's the last